Hello, it's Tony here again. Well, we're here for another panel showcase, and this time it's the Tecnam P2006T. This time for Microsoft Flight Sim. They've just recently, or should I say, Flight Sim Studio has just recently released their version of this aircraft. I did previously do some panels for the X-Plane version from V-Sky Labs, and I still have those panels. So I've added to that panel set the Microsoft Flight Sim variant, which is a little more updated than the version in X-Plane. It's the more modern version of the aircraft, so obviously as aircraft go through their life, they get updated from time to time. So it is the G1000 variant, but it has a slightly more modern switchgear and internal cockpit. So let's go ahead and have a look at that. Let's see what we've got here and show you the panels. And there we have it. They are the left and right hand side panels knitted together there on the image that you can see. You can see it's quite a slick, nice looking panel there. Like I was saying before, I don't know if you remember the Tecnam video, please go take another look at that. It's still up on the channel. But you can see this one's got a slightly more modern switchgear. It's got working circuit breakers as well. You see a circuit breaker panel over there on the right hand side, and a few other little small differences. So it was no small task to generate this new stuff. There were quite several differences as we go along. So I guess let's get into it. So what I think we'll do is there is with this particular aircraft there is a checklist. So what I think we can probably do is bring up that checklist. There it is, and we can just see if we can run through the checklist. I've done this once or twice, but let's see how we get on today, I suppose. We'll do a quick engine start and then go for a quick flight. So the pre-flight check has already been done on this particular aircraft. There's a electronic flight bag tablet, and you can do like a virtual walk around checking oil and whatnot on your way around. So that I've done that already. That's more to do with the aircraft than the actual air manager panels, which is the purpose of this video, to have a look at the air manager panels. So that's already pre-done the pre-flight checks. Parking brake is set. No, it's not, but it is now. Flight controls check free. We will check them again before we go. Doors are all closed. Seat belts are all adjusted. Yeah. Seats. Landing gear is down. Yes, it is. Master on. So we'll switch the master on. Switch the master on and start getting power there. The nav light we switched to on. Nav light is over on the right hand side here. That's already on. Yep. Yep. Fuel quantity check. So we're only doing a short flight today, just having a look at that. It looks like we've got enough fuel. Fuel selectors check. We'll make sure they're on. There's a pop-up panel for fuel selectors, similar to a lot of my other panels, and one that I've had for this Tecnam before. It's just, you can see it's a slightly different design, a bit more modern. For those fuel selectors, we'll leave that on there for the moment. Start battery voltmeter, so that's down here. That's this thing. Checking the voltage. Check 12 to 14 volts. So yeah, we're probably about 12.5, 12.4 there. On controlled airfield, WX info, flight clearance, start clearance. Yeah, we're not going to mess about with that. Flaps up. Flaps are indeed up, and you see there's a flaps indicator. Yeah, you'll see it on the EIS strip on the PFD once, or on the MFD, should I say, once the MFD is powered up. So left and right hand fields are off. Left and right hand avionics are off. Left and right hand cross buses are off. So the field switches are here, left and right, and then the avionics and the cross bus switches are also there. Throttle friction set and idle. Throttle is indeed idle. Left and right car seats, they're off, yes. Left and right hand prop levers forward. Yes, prop levers are forward. Chokes as required, so you can put choke on if you need, but I don't think we're going to need choke today. So we'll leave them off for the moment. Strobes on, so we're getting ready for the start now. So strobes on. Start relay breaker is in. Well, all the relay breakers are in, but I'll just show you that the relay. Or the start breaker is on the right hand side there. All the breakers are in. They're out or popped if they're popped out. Where were we up to there? And then, so okay, we just got to repeat this for both the engines now. So we need both ignitions to on. We're doing the right engine first, both the ignitions to on. Right fuel pump on and 4 psi. So these, you see the fuel pressure come up there. More than 4 psi. We're good. Right prop area clear. Right engine start and check the oil pressure. So the oil pressure is here, so we want to see that come up as we start. And there we go, we have good oil pressure and a good oil temperature is coming up too. Got about 1000 RPM. There is a bit of a bug with this particular airplane, in so much as when you've got the EIS strip on the PFD, which it doesn't actually tell you to switch any of the other stuff on yet, so the MFD won't be on. The map doesn't display properly. Hopefully they'll fix that. I have told them about it, so hopefully that'll be fixed. It works fine if you put it on the EIS strip. It's just for some reason when it's on the PFD here, the map is reading a bit off. So if you're wondering why that was, it's because it's the same. You can probably see it up there in the virtual cockpit as well. It's wrong. So where did we get up to? Oil pressure, we've checked that. The field can come on. So the field for the right hand side can come on. And so can the cross bus, and check amps and volts. So they haven't got a way to check that. It's something else that I've pointed out. RPM is 1000, we've already checked that, so the cross buses are on. You can see the standby instrument starting to boot up there now as well. Chokes up, yep, they're already up. And the fuel pump off. Okay, so on the right hand side engine then, sorry, left hand side engine, what we're talking about. Well, put both the ignitions on. Fuel pump on and 4 psi. Yep. Okay. Clear. And left engine start. Good oil pressure. RPM has come up to 1000. Yeah, I was saying earlier about those displays, it's not just the map, it's the RPM you can see is also wrong. Just for the right hand side engine, but as I'll show you in a minute when we move the EIS strip moves itself over to the MFD, when it's powered up, it all displays perfectly okay on there. So, where were we up to? Oil pressure is checked, field, whoops, oh, my mistake, clicked the wrong button. Fields on. Wait for that PFD to boot up again. Accidentally switched the master off there. Cross bus is on. Amps volts checked. RPM 1000. Chokes up. Fuel pump off. So. Close that now, don't need that anymore. Okay. Right. Standby battery light check off. Right, so that's here. Now there is some quirk about this standby battery. I'll just show you that in the virtual cockpit. You'll see that, unfortunately, because they've not used a VAR that we can access to, when we try to touch the switch, it tries to switch on, but then immediately it switches off because the sim is continually writing to that switch, and we can't get access to that variable. So it's only the cover that does it. When the cover is down, it continually turns the switch off rather than just doing it once when you close the cover. I don't know why they've done it like that, but again, that's something else that I've told them about. So the solution to that is you just got to do it once, just in the virtual cockpit. There is just to open it and then just leave it open for the entire flight, and then you can just manage it individually. You see the cover's not linked. So you can open it here, then now what I can do is I can actually switch that on, and you see the light comes on, and the light, so I've got full control over it now. And again, if I leave it on and close the cover, it automatically closes the switch off, as it works as it should, but only when the cover is open in the virtual cockpit. Hopefully they make that something that we can get access to, or at least don't continually write to that switch, so we are actually enabled to have control without having to mess about with that one interaction in the virtual cockpit. So what I tend to do at the beginning of the flight is just open the cover, and then just leave full control within the Air Manager cockpit from that point on. So back to our checklist. Oops. Okay, so strobes off. All breakers in. Yes, they are. We checked that earlier. Left and right hand avionics on. The MFD will power up. Push the button, and then the EIS strip will come over, and there it is. And there you can see the manifold pressure and the RPM are perfectly normal, as we'd expect there. So I think we're just going to zoom in here so we can see where we're going taxi wise. Do like that feature about the G1000. Left and right hand avionics. Oh, we've done that. Alerts and warnings check. Yeah, we've still got pitot heat off, but that's okay. That's because we haven't got it on. Let's just check that goes off, and it does. Check fire detector. So there's a fire detector test. There you go. You push the button, and the fire annunciations are up here on the PFD. Autopilot master on. Whoops. You can see the S-Tech power up there. Weather and flight clearances, transponder code. 567 altitude, yeah, that's okay. No crosses on the AHARs, no, we're good. MFD and the flight plan, common nav on and set. Fuel selectors cross feed. You're just making sure it works alright in the cross feed position. Left down, right hand fuel pressure. Just monitoring that. Good. Left and right hand oil temperature. Just about in the green, almost. Okay, minimum yellow. So obtain taxi clearance. Let's assume we've done that. Note the block time. Taxi light on. Okay. Brakes off and test. Flight instruments check. Yep. We won't bother with a run up because we want to get out of here. Right, before we do that, Oh, as part of the run up, we're going to put the just before takeoff, we're going to go uncrossed feed. So let's just do that now. Fuel. Okay, so flight plan. I think we already had that in there. Okay, so right, let's go then. Let's get our normal view up. Parking brake off. And check brakes. Yeah, they're good. It's not particularly fast. Well, it's not fast at all actually, this aircraft. Nice light right on the taxiway there. Wish they'd fix that. But it's a nice little flyer, and one that I used to enjoy flying in X-Plane, so I thought I'd pick up and add the Microsoft Flight Sim version. The panels gives me the ability to fly either or. We'll have a notch of flaps while we're taxiing out. All our trim disconnects are not disconnected, they are on. Fan is on. Too busy looking at the panels here and not concentrating on taxi. Does taxi quite fast, that's one thing I will say about this aeroplane. You have to keep it in check with a little bit of toe brake now and again. Okay. So a little look left and right. Not messing about with ATC today. For the purposes of the video. As we normally do, just really concentrating on looking at the panels more than anything else. Just having a short flight to do that. Long runway here, we should have plenty. This little thing. Okay. Strobe light on, landing lights on, taxi lights off. one notch of flaps. Autopilot is, master is on. Okay, what we're gonna, just before we go, we'll just set the altitude, something not very high, 3,000 feet. Okay. Let's go. We'll be up in no time in this thing. Here we go. Positive rate. Gear up. We don't need that map so zoomed in now. Bring those flaps up. You have to trim quite a bit in this aircraft when you're bringing in the flaps. See, it's quite stable. Okay, we're at about 2,000 now, so let's go ahead and get the autopilot on. OAT is 11 degrees C. I think we'll leave that pitot off. Well, we could put it on, but we're not desperate for it. In fact, what I think we'll do is we'll just go intercept there. Nav will stay armed. So just a short flight over to a local airfield. Very simple flight plan that I put in. Gives us a chance to have a talk about the panels while we're on our way. So I did talk briefly about them at the beginning, but let's just go through the items one by one. So we'll start with the compass. We don't always start with a compass, but I just see it there to remind me. Otherwise I'll forget the usual pop-up compass there. And then thinking about the left panel, well, let's have a look at it in a little bit more detail. So we've got the PFD obviously front and center, and then the usual audio panel there. The chokes that I showed, they operate. We don't need them today. So does the defrost and the cabin heat thing, as well as the park brake. The rudder trim switch below that will operate if we need it. You tend not to need too much of that if both engines are running. The switches that you saw me use during the start sequence, they're sort of centrally normally, so they're kind of in that location. And then next to that, the landing gear handle, the indications for the landing gear is on the MFD, just at the, sorry, here, landing gear there. They fill in green, obviously when the landing gear is down. You notice also just below the landing gear we've got the pitch, the rudder and the flap position indicators as well. Next to the landing gear is an instrument that was new. A lot of these were new or variations. This one was completely new because it wasn't in the X-Plane variant, and that's a starting battery voltage gauge. So it just shows you see the little battery symbol there, and it just gives you your voltage. So we're up to probably about nearly almost 13 volts there now. An indication for that, and that's obviously called out as one of the checklist items, so it's important to have that. The backup battery switch, so that just switches in the backup battery if you have some kind of an electrical failure. You saw me talk about that during the checklist. An emergency light, so again that is functional, and if it were dark, you would see that gives some illumination, but it does actually work. The ELT, you've seen it operate before. I'm not going to do it now because we're in flight. The AP master switch, if I switch that off, the autopilot would obviously disconnect and switch off, so I'm not going to do that. The pitot heat, we can actually switch that on. You see it clears the warning and off. There's some pitch and rudder trim disconnect switches, they operate as well. I'm going to do that again because we're in flight. There's an electric fan switch which you can switch off, and it will switch the electric fan off, and obviously the fire detect system check test button that you saw me operate as part of the checklist. You bring the warnings up for that and see that system is actually functional. There's not too much to it, but a few bits to check. So we look at the right hand side panel, and then obviously mainly taken up with the MFD. You can see the autopilot, the STEC 55X autopilot at the top there. The standby instrument, which I've shown in a separate video on my channel. If you want to see more detail about that, I've got a whole video just on that. That's a very nice unit. It took a lot of work to make, but it's used in quite a few airplanes now, so it was definitely worth doing. I've got this is the horizontal version, but I've got a vertical version of that as well. Next to that is the flap switch. As I said about earlier, the flap indication is actually on the MFD there, so there's no separate lights. Sorry, there's no separate indicator for the lights, as there's no separate light from the switch, as there's no separate lights for the landing gear is what I was thinking of there, but the landing gear indicators are there separately. I think you can see we're just turning onto the course now as we begin our turn, and then we got some dimmers, then light switches. Turn that landing light switch off now while I think of it, and we're here. We looked at the pop-up, which is the overhead in this Tecnam. These fuel selectors and ignitions and start switches and fuel pump switches are overhead, so that's the overhead panel. And then the circuit breaker panel, which is something new for this Microsoft variant. These circuit breakers are mainly all working, and so that's also simulated here in the Air Manager panel. So that's it pretty much. That's that is the panels. You can see we're nice and straight on course here now. So I think what we'll do is we'll actually select approach mode. With any luck, we'll start a descent here in a minute. Hopefully fairly short flight. I didn't want it to be that long, but just showing off this panel a little bit and the G1000. We've seen that before. Done some videos on that on the channel. You can see not a fast machine. They were flying along at about 130 knots. They're 127 now. So not a rocket ship. But they use it for training quite a lot. Twin training. Obviously, you know, the price of training in a twin can be quite expensive, and this is a nice sort of entry-level twin. And I know they use it to do a lot of training, and I think it's used for surveillance quite a bit too. Nice and slow for that if you're on station. I think something's gone wrong with my flight plan loading here. Maybe it'll be alright. No, it's not going to be. Looks like we're way too high. Although it's saying that it's says we should have been at 2,600, so maybe it's because we were too high. But the glide slope, very strange. What I'm going to do is I'm going to kill the power. Not kill the power, but bring the power back. I think what we'll do is we'll overfly and then we'll turn around and come back, because we're not going to make that now. That's way too steep. Apologies for that. That was obviously a flight plan loading error. And normally with the G1000 I prefer to enter the flight plan and choose the approach manually on the screen, but for the sake of the video I thought rather than try and have you watch me do all that, it might be a bit easier if I tried to load it from the in-sim screen, but obviously that didn't work too well. I have done that before, but for some reason this time it didn't work, so something I need to have a play with. All is not lost. I think we'll disconnect the autopilot. We'll have a little bit of a hand fly. So the airport's pretty much directly below us now. We'll have a stage of flaps. We'll make up our own procedural turn here. get the gear down as well. Left landing flaps. Bit too high here. Probably should have gone out a little bit further on that turn. There we go. Nice little aeroplane. Haven't done any single engine practice in this thing yet, but look forward to doing that. Now I've got some nice panels to fly behind, and that should be a nice little way to do some more flying with this thing. Not going to be going any long distances in it, or not with the speed anyway, so probably use it more for local flights and a bit of twin practice, I would think. So anyway, they're the Air Manager panels. This is the Tecnam P2006T aircraft for Microsoft Flight Sim from Flight Sim Studio, and these are my Air Manager panels for it. Hope you enjoyed the video. Thanks for watching again. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and I'll see you again soon in another video. Bye.